Hello, I'm Simon Whistler, you're watching the Today I Found Out YouTube channel, and in the video today we're looking at whether one of the Bond girls was really formerly a man. That depends on how you define man and how you define Bond girl. If you define man as a person who was born with a penis and Bond girl as any eye-candy female that appeared in a Bond movie at any point, then yes, one of the Bond girls, or at least one of the women shown in a Bond movie, not a main character by any stretch, was born a man. If you define man as someone who was born with an XY chromosome pattern rather than XX like a typical woman, then no. You see, the woman in question, actress and model Caroline Cossey, born Barry Kenneth Cossey, was born with something known as Klinefelter syndrome, which means she has an XXY chromosome pattern with 47 chromosomes instead of 46. This is a condition that occurs in about 1 in every 500 to 1,000 male births and significantly more rarely occurs in females. This makes it one of the most common chromosome abnormalities known to man. Some of the common side effects of this are low testosterone levels compared to most males, wider hips, less muscle mass, possible breasts, about 1 in 3 of the cases, generally infertile, and significantly less body and facial hair, among other things. Now, traditionally, those with Klinefelter syndrome have been called XXY males to distinguish them from normal XY males. However, in the International Journal of Andrology, published in 2011, various researchers from several Australian medical institutes proposed in a paper, thinking outside the square, considering gender in Klinefelter syndrome, that some XXY males should actually be called XXY females, and others simply intersex. The specific point of the paper was that perhaps Klinefelter syndrome should be detached from XXY. Most with this condition are clearly male and do identify as such, but a small percentage seem to be female, and thus typical treatment for Klinefelter syndrome, including being given testosterone starting during puberty, may be damaging psychologically, as it would make the person's body more male-like when in fact they were female. As these treatments preferably start at a very young age, the child may not be in a position to assert this one way or the other. In another study, there was even a case where the researchers came across a rare XXY female born with a vagina who since childhood had always thought of herself as a male and demonstrated stereotypical male-like tendencies from the beginning. While Cossey was indeed born with a penis, throughout her youth she was extremely feminine in personality, looks, and personal preference tendencies, which often resulted in her getting bullied at school. She was also frequently mistaken for a girl by those who didn't know her. You can see in the picture we're showing here just how feminine she looked as a teen. From this, if you buy into the medical researchers' arguments proposed in their paper, we'd perhaps say that Cossey was one of those XXYers who, while born with a penis, was actually an XXY female. In her late teens, after dropping out of school and working a few odd jobs, she became friends with a transsexual, and at that point, at the age of 17, started hormone therapy. She also started working as a showgirl, and later, after breast surgery, as a topless dancer. Once she had saved up enough money to be able to pay for sex reassignment surgery, she had that done too with her final surgery in 1974. She started modeling before her reassignment surgery and continued under the name Tula after, with a lot of success, appearing in numerous magazines, including some adult magazines where she'd posed topless. She later even appeared in a 1981 edition of Playboy. She also would have started a role as a model in a game show in 1978, but she quit the show when a journalist discovered she was born with a penis and was going to break the story. Unfortunately, her career was severely stunted from this, as she had to try to keep a low profile to keep her secret from being published. This all ended in 1981, when she appeared in the Bond movie For Your Eyes Only, and the story broke, for a time, being front-page news. The aftermath of this was initially devastating to Cossey, who was sure her career as a model was over, but eventually she moved on and continued modeling, as well as writing 2 autobiographies, the second of which, My Story, was written in 1992. She's today married to comedian David Finch. The two recently celebrated their 20th anniversary. So I really hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please do give us a thumbs up below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Also, if you've got an idea for a video for us, let us know in the comments below. We do read all the comments, and we'd love to make videos based on your suggestions. So use the comments below, don't forget to like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.